There's nothing quite like taking a ride by the river, especially when you're enjoying a piece of history.
I can't compete with the horn.
All aboard!
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fox River Trolley Museum. The car you're riding in was built in 1926. As far as we can tell, it's had several million miles of service on it.
It doesn't look like your usual museum, and that's because it's not. No museum building here, just the real deal. 27 vintage rail cars built as far back as 1887.
We're a living history museum.
Jeff Bennett is the chief car officer and also a conductor. He gave us a bit of backstory about how trolleys came to be back in the late 1890s.
You had to walk to work. There were no other modes of transportation. There weren't cars. Horses were for farming. With the advent of trolleys in the late 1890s, all of a sudden now there were these interurban lines, such as the North Shore here, that were popping up, and you could live in Geneva but work in Elgin. And that was a huge game changer. They actually, I would say, invented commuting.
You'll find amazing craftsmanship on these rail cars, but there's one thing you won't find.
We're here out in the lovely summer weather is that these don't have air conditioning. So it's a little warmer. So we like to get moving so we can use, 40 windows as our cooling device.
Train rides will take you by the Fox River and back in time.
When this railroad was first laid out, this was all farmland. And we go over several culverts and bridges. That was so the farm animals could get down to the Fox River to get some water.
As you take one of these cars, these trains down the line, and you're right next to the river, it's a feeling you're not going to get anywhere else.
Folks we talked with told us what they like best.
The ambiance of being on the train and the wind blowing through the windows and hearing the history.
I've never had the opportunity to cruise down the river like that. It's a really great perspective.
But wait, there's more.
This train is 100 years old this year.
There are even vintage CTA cars. This one used to carry commuters on Chicago's northwest side.
It served 50 years of service on the Chicago Elevated, the same tracks that are used today. It's been in service now here at the museum, coming up just about as long as it was in regular service.
But this train's snazzy looks didn't come easily. It underwent a major renovation a few years back. It took 13,000 hours of work, done almost completely by volunteers.
The roof, the floors, the windows, the paint, pretty much everything was ready to go through. And when we do them, we don't spare any details. The labor of love that has gone into that train, every time I look at it, I smile.
And no vintage CTA car would be complete without a sign that warns no smoking, no spitting.
Definitely a different time where we're now used to seeing the no vaping signs.
The trolley's heyday came to an end when the automobile age began.
When it started changing was when Henry Ford really took off with his Model T and then the Model A. And as more of the average person could afford an automobile, less people needed a public mode of transportation. The final demise for a lot of the interurbans and a lot of the smaller trolley lines was the onset of expressways. Now all of a sudden multi-lane expressways and everybody could just go when they wanted. They didn't have to wait for the next train.
That's where the Fox River Trolley Museum comes in.
A huge part of what we do is interpreting history, demonstrating history.
Here in South Elgin, we just absolutely love that we can keep this alive, keep history alive.
And did we tell you Jeff has his own history here?
I can remember every summer my grandparents bringing me out. My first visit was when I was 4 years old. And so for me, 40 years later, to be in charge of their well-being, to be able to operate them, be able to pass on the history to the next generation, it's just amazing. I love every part of what I do.
They like their jokes too. How do you know when a train's been through town? Because there are tracks. There's no extra charge for the train humor at the museum. Joe Donlan, CBS News, Chicago.
That's right up Joe's alley. The dad jokes, the train jokes. Virtually all of the work at the Fox River Trolley Museum is done by dedicated and very busy volunteers. The museum also hosts a number of special events, including Trivia Trolley. To learn more, you can head to foxtrolley.org.